What more can you tell us about the decision to suspend Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, Shay, I think the Nets felt they had no alternative left after spending a week trying to work with Kyrie Irving, educate him on the impact that his promotion of that essentially hateful anti-Semitic documentary shared on his platform had on the world. And so I think for the Nets, the NBA, they were in a position where this had become an untenable situation with Kyrie Irving. And I think the Nets realized after two attempts in public with the media, the fact that Kyrie Irving would not denounce what was in that movie, would not apologize for, I think, his role in promoting and certainly really hurting people in the community. This is a situation, I think, for Brooklyn now, where a 5-game suspension without pay minimally, as they say, Kyrie Irving is going to have to remedy this situation. And I think right now, his future in Brooklyn, I think it's fair to say, is unclear because he has shown so far a resolve, a resistance to not apologize and to not denounce what is in that movie. And so I think for Brooklyn, they were in a position now, I think, where they had to suspend Kyrie Irving. The environment around the team, I think it was unsustainable. And there certainly had been the impact not just on the team and the basketball, I think the smallest part of it, but the organization, the community in Brooklyn, in New York. And I think for the NBA, this was a story and a situation that was not going to go away. And Brooklyn, again, I think Joe Tsai, their owner, thought that he could educate Kyrie Irving on the impact that this entire saga had on people, and just ultimately felt like they did not reach him. And now, finally, after a week, there's a punishment. 5 games without pay, minimally, for Kyrie Irving.
Adam Silver looking to meet in person with Kyrie Irving next week. This comes in the wake of Irving's social media post about a book and movie that includes anti-Semitic material. Irving and the Nets yesterday releasing a joint statement pledging to each donate $500,000 to anti-hate causes. Kyrie Irving speaking moments ago. Here it is new on SportsCenter.
With a week of hindsight, are you sorry for the hurt that your post caused people?
I take my responsibility for posting that. Some things that were questionable in there, untrue. Like I said, and the first time you guys asked me when I was sitting on that stage, I don't believe everything that everybody posts. It's a documentary. So I take my responsibility.
It seems like Adam Silver wanted to hear the word "I apologize," or in your mind, you said, "I didn't mean to cause any harm." Were you apologizing, or did you not apologize?
I didn't mean to cause any harm. I'm not the one that made the documentary.
What are the specific things in the documentary that you don't believe are true and that you don't believe represent your wrongs?
I think some of the criticism of the Jewish faith in the community, for sure. Some points made in there that were unfortunate.
Kyrie, are you surprised that you did hurt people?
Surprised that I did hurt people?
Are you surprised that reaction and some of the things that you did hurt people?
Yeah, I think I can ask a better question. It's just, where were you when I was a kid, figuring out that 300 million of my ancestors are buried in America? Where were you guys asking those same questions when I was a kid learning about the traumatic events of my familial history and what I'm proud to come from and why I'm proud to stand here and why when I repeat myself that I'm not going to stand down, it has nothing to do with dismissing any other race or group of people. I'm just proud of my heritage and what we've been through. And the fact that this has pinned me against the Jewish community. And I'm here answering questions of whether or not I'm sorry or not on something I didn't create. And it was something I shared, and I'm telling everybody I'm taking responsibility, then that's where I sit. So, you know, these same questions that you guys ask, me dealing with it as being a melanated, pigmented person all around the world and dealing with racial biases against my skin color, demeaning me because of my religious beliefs, and I'm still sitting in the seat standing. So I take my full responsibility. Again, I'll repeat it, for posting something on my Instagram or Twitter that may have had some unfortunate falsehoods in it. But I also am a human being that's 30 years old, and I've been growing up in a country that's told me that I wasn't worth anything, and I came from a slave class, and I come from a people that are meant to be treated the way we get treated every day. So I'm not here to compare anyone's atrocities or tragic events that their families have dealt with generations of time. I'm just here to continue to expose things that our world continues to put in darkness. I'm a light. I'm a beacon of light. That's what I'm here to do. You guys ask me questions about basketball, I give you my expert opinion. You guys ask me about other things, I give you my opinion, and it's met with whatever you believe the perception or the deception is. You guys investigate my life every day, and you justify it by serving your own purpose, which I honor. I would like the same respect in return, figuring out just like anyone else. So please keep that same energy when we're talking about anti-other things, because just because I post a documentary doesn't mean I'm anti-Semitic, and doesn't mean that I'm automatically standing with everyone that is believing in it. So it's unfortunate timing that we're in, but I'm glad that I could stand on the truth, because I'm not afraid of these mics, these cameras. I used to be, looking everyone in the eye and telling them the truth, and I'm proud of who I am. Any label that you put on me, I'm able to dismiss because I study. I know the Oxford Dictionary, you look it up, right? Just one of the biggest mistakes I had in being a kid was not knowing European or Western language until I started looking it up and understanding the definitions and why they say, if you want to trick a black person, put it in a book. I was wondering my whole life why they said that. Now I'm 30 years old and I know reading is a superpower because it helps me understand where I'm going and where I come from. Like a tree with roots.
Kyrie, the documentary listed among falsehoods, it said the Holocaust didn't happen. Do you believe the Holocaust
those falsehoods
happened?
are unfortunate. And it's not that I don't believe in the Holocaust. I never said that. Never, ever have said it. It's not come out of my mouth. I never tweeted it. I never liked anything like it. So the Holocaust in itself is an event that means something to a large group of people that suffered something that could have been avoided. No one said we had to practice racism. No one said we had to treat each other like garbage. No one said that I had to stand here today and understand that many people that come from generations 60 years ago, 40 years ago, enslaved some of my ancestors still, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and it's still going on. And you guys are asking me, respectfully, to speak on something that was a documentary that I had nothing to do with. I didn't make it. So just please keep that same energy when you guys are addressing me.
Kyrie, for the record, do you have any anti-Semitic beliefs?
Again, I'm going to repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not going to turn into a spin around cycle of questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question. Yes or no.
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
What does that mean?
I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from.
Kyrie, did you personally meet with the ADL?
I was informed that they wanted to have a meeting, and we handled it.
What is your reaction to all that we just heard from Kyrie Irving?
The reaction was that when I was a child, I met people that were different than me on a basketball court. Not necessarily in my synagogue or even in my Jewish school, but on a basketball court. And so the fact that this ball is tearing people apart right now it not only makes me mad, but it makes me scared. And not scared for myself, but actually scared for my own children, the kids in my own community and the kids around the world that take a tweet up there in the Twitterverse and the Instagram and the social media and take it as truth and then take that sometimes to action.
And some people might see this, as you mentioned, as just a social media post, but I always pride myself on educate myself so that I can educate others. Can you educate us as to the real life consequences of a post like this?
Absolutely. The real life consequences start in a tweet, but end up in my driveway here in Los Angeles when I get a baggie saying the Jews are responsible for COVID, the Jews are responsible for XYZ. The real life consequences are when last week in my own Jewish school of middle school students on their way to a flag football game, their coach who was not Jewish, they're having an argument or a discussion about Kanye and Adidas, and the coach says, yes, I believe with Kanye. That was the only adult on the bus. And those kids were scared out of their mind, but they were educated and they were able to defend themselves. And the last consequence was from an email I got from a 4th grader yesterday that says, I love wearing Kyrie shoes, and I am so sad in my heart that I put those shoes away. And so those are consequences, not about basketball and shoes, which, believe me, I watched you guys growing up. You were our role models. But we have to be better role models in terms of our hearts and our souls.
If we could back up for just one moment, I think we need to start this conversation from a place of education and understanding. Why is the material in this book and film so deeply offensive? Absolutely.
So just here in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles City Council passed 2 days ago the definition of anti-Semitism according to the IHRA, which is the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. And in that definition, it says that a perception of hatred to the Jewish community is the definition of anti-Semitism. Now, somebody asked, Charles Barkley asked me 2 days ago, have I read it or seen that movie? And so when he asked, I looked it up and I started seeing what those anti-Semitic tropes were. Number one, there's untruths there. And when untruths are then seen as truths to the next person, that leads to very dangerous consequences.
If you could speak to Kyrie, and I know we're on camera now, but in a personal education way, what would you say to him? Not necessarily about your feelings, because you made those very clear and they're very honest, and we appreciate you sharing them, but more in a level of education. What would you say to him if you could?
Absolutely. So in our synagogue, we're blessed with gymnasiums, and during the summers, some of those players, now the secret's out now on ESPN, some of those players train in our facility. And every day I go to those players and I just say hello. And in the beginning of the season, they look like me like this. But at the end of the season, before they go off to their season, we give each other hugs because we got to know each other. And I pray that Kyrie, if he's in LA, when he's playing the Clippers, when he's playing the Lakers, come into our community. Because one of my best friends actually is a pastor in Inglewood. And we share a love of sports, we share a love of faith. Most of the things that we do together are actually based around sports because we have the love of faith. And so I say, embrace each other's faith. I call it multi-faith, not interfaith. Interfaith gets a little messy. Multi-faith says, your faith is strong, your faith is strong, your faith is strong, and my faith is strong, and we can actually live together. Dr. Martin Luther King has famously marched with Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel in Alabama, not because they looked alike or served the same communities, but because they had the same belief that our society can change.